Big Apple Comic Con 2018. I'm Joe. Richie couldn't be here because Richie is getting ready for his The Walking Dead reaction video. Tonight is the season finale and Richie is looking forward to it, has a lot of expectations, and he's pumped for it, and I hope you're pumped to watch him. Please subscribe to our channel. That video is going to go up later tonight, if not in the wee hours of the AM, but we're going to have Richie's Walking Dead reaction coming up, and a lot more great videos coming up, reviews of movies, television shows, food from time to time, and pops. That's what the Joe and Richie channel is all about, and we hope to have you along for the ride. So the Big Apple Comic Con was April 14th and 15th at the Penn Plaza Pavilion and Hotel Penn in New York City. I'm gonna set the stage a little bit for what my last year was like. I went to a bunch of conventions last year, but the two ones that really stood out in comparison to what I went to yesterday, the Big Apple Comic Con, was of course New York Comic Con and the Ace Comic Con. New York Comic Con is like the big event that happens 4 days in the Javits Center, and it's just a big pop culture mess. It's really interesting. You should try it out one time, but it's not for the faint of heart. Ace Comic Con is a new up and coming type of thing, and their deal was they had it at the Nassau Coliseum, and it was a little bit of a poop show, to be perfectly blunt with you. It wasn't a bad convention, but it was, the concept behind the convention was that it was in a coliseum and they had the jumbotrons, and whoever was up on the main stage, everybody got to see because the jumbotrons and the TVs around the stadium were showing it. It was overpriced, and that concept of the jumbotrons was great, but there was just no good programming. Go back a little bit to New York Comic Con. It was cool, but it was overwhelming. And the problem with that show was that everything was a line. Everything was a line. You wanted to see a panel, you had to stand on a queue to get in the room if you were lucky. And you might have to stand on the queue and wait to get in the room and not leave that room. Autographs, photo sessions, all that stuff, lines, seeing the convention programming, lines, want to get a free t-shirt, lines, want to buy a pop figure, want to buy one of the exclusive pop figures they come out with, you have to get invited to stand on a line. And when you stand on the line, you go up and you buy the pop figure that they come out with. One little thing though is that they're not exclusive to the show for the most part. The pop figures are exclusive partially to the show, but they also land in retail outlets. I wanted to get the 8-bit pop Batman. I ended up getting it at GameStop 3 days later because it was there too. I should have just went to GameStop. Now I'm going off the rails, expressing my discontent with the two conventions I went to last year to set up Big Apple Comic Con. It was better than the two conventions I went to last year. Why was it better? It took me back to my days. Now, I had not gone to this convention before. Shame on me. But I had gone in the past to different conventions in the city or different conventions on Long Island. And what I liked about this was, first, you walk through the doors of Penn Plaza. You go, you get your wristband, and you're up. No bag check, no confiscating water or telling me I can't bring my camera in like happened at Ace Comic Con. Just up, in, and then you're in the convention. And you just walk around the show, and a lot of comics, very, very comic related. The most comic related thing I've ever seen. Almost all the vendors were comic vendors. There were other ones obviously, but most of the vendors were comic book vendors. The people doing signatures are right there. You didn't have to go down to a damn basement and wait on lines and then have a whole rigmarole like they had at the other ones. It was just, there they are if you want to get the signature. The guests were not marquee names, but that's another thing that made me like it more. I'm a science fiction person. I like comic books. I don't want to see people that everybody else wants to see. I appreciated that the big guest they had at this was Wilson Cruz. Wilson Cruz was on Star Trek Discovery, or still is, according to him, the way he made it sound from his little talk. He was the biggest guest they had there. The Doctor from the last series of Star Trek. He also was Ricky on My So-Called Life. He walked into the basement, and they had a room that maybe fit 300 or 400 people. If they crammed in there, you walked in, you grabbed a seat, and I got to watch the guy, talk for an hour. The other part I liked about it was charming in the sense that he was interviewed by one of the organizers of the event, it was funny. At points he was talking more than Wilson Cruz, but it was actually kind of endearing to me that this guy was so into just being next to somebody from Star Trek that you could just tell how gleeful he was, and I love that. I love seeing that as opposed to, and I've seen what like the Star Wars Celebration things look like, watching that stuff online. Like when they did the unveil of The Last Jedi, they broke out like Josh Gad, like to make you want to vomit, and then he did the panel. No, I don't want to see that stuff. I want to see dorks like me marking out as they're sitting next to a person who plays the Doctor on a Star Trek series. That's what I want to see. That is what I want to see, and that's why I like this convention. At Ace Comic Con, I got some coasters that I have on my desk here. You may have noticed in some of my videos, my Mr. Poopy Butthole coaster. I also have this Princess Leia coaster. So these people, if you know who this vendor is, please let me know. I got a Han Solo and Chewbacca coaster. Some are from the Rick Mansing the Stone episode, killing the old leader of the gang she kind of takes over. And this is a gift from my mother. It's the Doctor, her favorite Doctor, David Tennant. So, Mommy, this one's going to you. It's kind of a throwback to a no longer there era where the women of Star Trek were both kick-ass but also clear sex objects. This was in a bargain bin. My friend Steve went with me, and the bargain bin said $6 or buy 2 for 10. I didn't want to buy 2. He said, just go up to him and say you'll take it for 5, and he'll do it. I said, oh, you do it for me. You do it for me. So I handed him the $5 bill. He went up to the guy with the 5 presented, and he gave him this. And I got this for a deal. I like this. I like to put little trinkets on my desk, and it's like a good deal for $5. You may have noticed my love for Star Trek. I got this t-shirt. Employee of the Month, I Make It So. Commander William T. Riker, aka Number 1, USS Enterprise, NCC 1701D. Okay, now what I didn't get there. Pops, they were not the best deals with Pops. I gotta be blunt and honest with you. There was no great Pop scores there. So, the day before I went to Walgreens and I saw this. Young Anakin Skywalker, Walgreens exclusive. I didn't buy it because I figured, why buy it if I'm going to be going to the convention and seeing, what they have there. So let me hold on to it. Let me not buy it. I went to the convention and one of the dealers had this very Pop, which I got at Walgreens for $10.99 with an extra $2 off because I had Walgreens cards. Had it there for $30. So I went right to Walgreens and got this. Young Anakin. You know what? I don't care what anybody says about Episode 1. Yeah, it definitely was not the best film, but there's a place dear in my heart for Episode 1. And I love this figure. And I got it not at the convention where it was overpriced. I got it at Walgreens. I bought 2 of them. And I don't need this one. So it's giveaway time. So here are the contest rules. Subscribe to our channel. We're at 155 subscribers right now. I'm not giving this away until we hit 200. Like the video. In the comments, write what you think my favorite line is that young Anakin Skywalker says in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. If multiple people say the same thing, I will draw all the people who said that line out of a hat and win. You will be the winner. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you can, go to Big Apple Comic Con next year. There's the information. It's going to be April 13th and 14th in 2019. Usually the same place. I'm Joe.